Snowgoer Live. Brought to you by Snowgoer Magazine and snowgoer.com. From sled reviews to breaking news, riding destinations to gear evaluations, Snowgoer is snowmobiling. Now, here's our host, Snowgoer editor John Prusak.
Welcome everybody to Snowgoer Live, where we plan to bring you some of the most interesting people and stories in the sport of snowmobiling. With this episode, we're continuing our series of interviews with racers who were deemed to be among the top 10 snowcross racers of all time by a panel of snowcross industry insiders. Coming in at number 7 on our list was Robbie Malinoski. After he moved south out of his hometown of Humboldt, Saskatchewan, he scored multiple pro victories through a long and illustrious career that included points championships, X Games medals, and the only victory ever with a 4-stroke in snowcross versus a bunch of 2-strokes. He joins us today from his cabinet business in Minneapolis's northern suburbs to relive some memories and get us caught up on his current life. And now let's bring in the driver of that number 4, Robbie Malinoski. How you doing, Robbie?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So let's just start with it from the very beginning. How does a kid from a relatively small town in Saskatchewan end up racing snowcross more or less all over the world? Tell us about how you got into this game.
Yeah, well, funny. I always raced motocross and was, getting to my later teens, and my parents were at the point where, hey, you better start figuring things out because we can't keep funding this motocross dream of yours. And from there, it moved to let's try some snowmobile racing, and made a little bit of money one weekend and kind of looked at it like, hey, I kind of like this. I've rode snowmobiles my whole life. It's kind of fun. And before I knew it, I was racing down here in the US.
So, most of us on this side of the border, we got when we, even the bigger Canadian snowcross racers was, maybe more over in Ontario and Quebec and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, both you and Blair come down out of Saskatchewan. Was there a pretty lively race circuit community in Saskatchewan at that era?
Yeah, there was. And actually, Blair's brother-in-law was the one that kind of got me started. He had a snowmobile to race, and he, watching Blair and hearing how he was doing and making a living at it, it was a nice little avenue to kind of go down. So there was a little circuit. It was nothing crazy. There was one in Saskatchewan. There was one in Manitoba, and yeah, just kind of bounced back and forth and raced whatever we could.
Yeah. Okay. So you come down here, you're racing semi-pro, and you had some pretty good success right away. Especially, what about your second or third year? You were the big class champion in semi-pro, correct?
Yeah. No, it moved quickly. In 2001, we came down and did one national in Fargo, and that was awesome. I got a third, and it was enough to, kind of get some attention. And then we came back the following year for the whole season in the US here and raced in 2002. So that was the first year Arctic Cat came out with the F chassis.
Sure.
And that was a struggle. That was a really tough year. And after that year, I didn't think anything was going to come from it. And Arctic Cat stuck behind me. And yeah, in 2004 was the Pro Light champ.
Yep. And then pretty quickly to pro, and you were winning right away in pro, as I recall.
Yeah, 2005 won as a rookie, a couple, 3 or 4 races, and that was a little surreal. Wasn't exactly ready for that, I don't think, but at the same time, it was just, it all kind of was happening one year after another, and just kind of kept rolling with the punches.
Did you we did another interview like this with DJ Ekstrom, and he talked about kind of, when he was first lining up in pro and looking at left and right and seeing guys like Blair Morgan and Tucker Hibbert and some of the other names he had looked up to, and suddenly he's on the line with these guys. Did you have that similar thing where it was like, whoa, I'm really here racing pro, or did you just kind of meld in right away?
When I was first racing the Pro Light class, I did. And then when I got to pro, I was friends with Blair and friends with a lot of the other guys. It didn't really affect me that much. But yeah, the first year I was down here just racing like a Jamie Chaney, a Matt Judnick, looking at all these guys that were pretty good in the Pro Light class. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So You had a lot of wins early on with Arctic. You later, made a big benchmark win with Yamaha. Obviously, some real success racing for Steve Shearing with Skidoo. What are the strongest memories in your brain when you look back over your racing career? What are the victories that really meant something to you personally?
Yeah, for sure. The national championships in 2006 were probably the biggest. The win on the Yamaha was cool. I wish I could have won more. We were in position a few times. I felt like we could have done more, but just had some odd mechanicals and little things like that. But nevertheless, it was still cool to see that. And then, of course, winning later in my career, like later on when I'm in my 30s, 31, with Shearing and having a great, time there. It was kind of like the perfect end of the career.
So I remember, they're deep in your career when you had a couple big victories at Duluth, and it
Yeah.
was interesting how you had transitioned from younger in your career. You were the big, thick, strong guy that was kind of a go for it thing to later in your career. You were kind of seen as this ultra ambassador to the sport. Do you feel like your driving style changed or anything through the years?
Yeah, for sure. I got a little smarter. Definitely wasn't as hard on myself. Was in better shape. The fitness levels, kept climbing with Tucker coming back and really ramping his program up. It forced everybody to get better through that. And just, I always tell everybody I had racing figured out the day I retired, and it was too big, the body shut down before the mind, so it was, it was easy at that point as mentally, but
Okay.
of course every good thing has to come to an end.
Let's jump back to that Yamaha victory. To go out there on a four-stroke versus all the two-strokes, that was a mighty big challenge. Did when you the early races when you were starting that program, are you like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? Or what is that like when you're racing a machine that, and nothing against Yamaha, they build tremendous machines, but that just the whole four-stroke thing is a big jump.
Yeah, and a little bit of it was arrogance on my behalf. I didn't think anything could stop me. I thought I was basically just able to hand anything that was thrown at me. And, I was young enough and brash enough to take care of that and go after it. And once I did, it was, sorry, phone ringing here. Once I did get after or get that win, it was nice and it relaxed the whole tenseness. But at the same time, I felt okay. Now I got to go after it even more because I want to back it up and I want to make it sure people don't think it was a fluke.
Yeah. I just remember, being a snowmobile media clown when I happened to not be at that race, but when news came out that of that victory, that was like a head turning thing. It was like somebody won on a four-stroke against a two-stroke.
Right.
That doesn't even seem possible. I mean, in the dirt bike world, there certainly has been a transition, but in the snowmobile world, I never thought we would see that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean there was a lot of good things about that program and that sled and the motor and everything. I don't think it ever you never got to see the full potential of it all. But it was cool. It was interesting. It's always fun when you got some ingenuity going like that. It's pretty stagnant since then. I don't believe there has been a ton of things like that since then.
So looking back in your career, what are the best parts of being a professional snowcross racer during that era, and what are the parts that were the most difficult or the most work?
Yeah, for sure. The fun part was, you were getting paid to go ride your snowmobile. So if you keep that in mind, that was always a lot of fun. Probably the hardest thing was just the pressure, the pressure you put on yourself. I don't think people realize that the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to sleep, everything you're thinking about is how is this going to make me better at racing? And that wears on you. You can definitely feel it, and it shortens probably your racing career, your life a little bit, because it's a pressure cooker. Especially once you get to that top level, you want to always be there and stay there, and you're always looking over your shoulder of who's coming and who's maybe trying to knock you down.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. So talk about the retirement and the transition into the trailer. So you go from the track to the trailer. What made you retire, and what was that like to rechannel that competitive spirit that you had to have to be a good snowcross or a great snowcross racer, and then put that into the trailer?
Yeah, it was a easy transition as far as going to the trade because that's what I knew. I was always very involved with the sled and the setups and um, preparation of that side. So I just got to kind of extend that and go away from the training and more into the mechanical side. And I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I had a great opportunity with Lade Motorsports and spent 3 years there with them. And yeah, we built some really cool stuff, got the creative juices flowing. We did some cool parts and kind of changed the game a little bit as far as we could with the stuff that we were putting on the snowmobile.
So earlier this year, you created some videos with the ISOC crew previewing the season and stuff. Talk about how how you're touching the sport now. Are you still involved in various different ways?
Yeah, the last last 6 rounds, I helped design and build the tracks for ISOC, and
Okay.
it was a lot of fun. Got to run around, make sure we got the lips of the jumps just right, the landings, the rhythm sections, corners heading up, just trying to make it a little more racy and really kind of show everybody how good these guys are and how good these machines are and what they can handle. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I hope I wasn't as whiny as some of these racers are, but at the end of the day, I get it. And yeah, it was good though. It was a lot of fun.
So how do you think the sport has changed since since, let's say, the center of your career, from, say, I don't know, 2005, 2006 to today? How has the sport evolved from your perspective?
It's a little more, I guess, specialized. They don't ride for fun anymore. They don't do anything but just practice laps and train at the gym. And yeah, it's more business and it's more competitive. I think there's more more riders coming from Europe and from Finland and Sweden and everything. So it's definitely a little bit more competitive on the very top, more depth. So it's just a little bit more fine, sharpened knife kind of deal.
Yeah, it was interesting in putting this top 10 list together that we did. Just people's different perspectives on how Elias Ishoel compares to Tucker Hibbert, and then how that compares to a Kirk Hibbert. The machines evolve so much, the riding styles evolve so much that when you're comparing people in this sport over 30 years, it's certainly even the competition is different. It's just everything evolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, Elias is able to do. I didn't think we'd see that after Tucker left, and I mean, here he is at 4 titles, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon. And he's definitely in that top 2, 3 for sure.
It's been fun when putting together this list. And the sleds you rode were somewhere in the middle, obviously. But, looking back at the sleds that they were racing in the 90s, which at the time were the best machines that were available. But you see those things land, and it's like a bag of cement coming off of each jump. They're landing hard, man. And then now you see them, and they kind of skim over stuff. It's just it's a different game, but now they're going a lot faster. So that's just, again, evolution.
Yeah, there's a few parts that have really transcended the sport, and one of them being like a slip gear or slip axle or whatever. Back in the day, we always would break chains and belts and everything else if we did that stuff. So having that thing so durable that it doesn't fall apart on you is really changed the game.
Yeah. So if you had advice for yourself looking back, or for somebody who's new to the sport, what advice would you have for somebody or your old self getting involved in snowcross at a young age today?
Just enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, don't think that it's gonna get any easier. You got to really enjoy it first and get after it, and then work as hard as you can. Never, and that's just kind of in life and everything. Never do anything, I guess, half-assed. go for it as hard as you can. And I guess at the end of the day, always rest on the fact that you tried your hardest, and win or lose, it was all you could moment.
That really ties into something you had said earlier about how, every waking hour you're thinking of, how does this make me better, faster, more able to chase checkered flags? I mean, what for somebody who's, not even a racer, just a fan, what would they maybe not understand about what it takes to be a top level pro rider?
I think the hardest thing for anybody that has never been in that position would be the just trying to control all the emotions, all the fears, because believe it or not, the fears are real when you're sitting on that starting line, and just kind of getting all the emotions, everything, all those feelings put together, and being able to compete at the green light, and that's never easy.
Yeah, I'm sure. And whether it's snowcross racing, motocross racing, or professional hockey or football or whatever it is, a lot of times it's self-belief. It's that you think you can do it, so then you have a better shot at doing it. If there's self-doubt creeping in all the time, that makes it a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that is controlled by preparation. So I always remember it was a 2007, I think it was on the Yamaha. My dad and my brothers both came to X Games, and we're sitting there, and there was a lot of pressure, and first time four stroke at the X Games and stuff like that, and we had just won. So it wasn't too long after that we were at the X Games, and my dad, I remember my dad saying that he can't believe how much pressure you're under. And I didn't even, at that moment, I was just numb to it. I didn't even think about it. I was just able to just kind of go on through my day. And I remember him saying that to me after, and I was just like, yeah, you're right. It was a lot of pressure, but you numb yourself to it pretty quick,
I suppose. So how would you like people to remember Robbie Malinoski, the racer?
Always trying my hardest, and was never the fastest guy all the time. I was always trying my hardest, and it's kind of like a blue collar kind of racer. There's no doubt I had some good moments, but at the end of the day, I was just really loved it and tried my hardest.
All right. Well, then to wrap it up here, let's give people an update on your life today. What's what do you do for work, for family? What's Robbie doing today?
Yeah, no, I run a commercial cabinetry business, CTB. You can see here. We take care of pretty much anything from schools to hospitals, and smaller jobs from that. Yeah, got two kids, boy and a girl. My boy's really into motocross. My daughter's into riding horses, and I still ride motocross a lot. I don't ride a lot of snowmobiles, just hasn't worked out. But I spent a lot of time chasing my kids around and running a business.
Think we're going to see that son of yours in the track someday, or you think he'll
You
stick to
never
bikes?
know. Yeah, you never know. He sure likes taking after his dad for sure. So we'll see what happens.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for joining us again. And again, congratulations in the top 10. It was a crew of industry insiders who voted on our official top 10. And you were on the vast majority of lists, and pretty high up on a lot of those lists. So congratulations on a really good career. And it was great catching up with you.
Right on. Thank you very much.